Hi there. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. Wow. Wow, it is great to be here. Wow, and what a huge turnout it is tonight. Can I just say this is the most people I've ever performed to in my life. And what a beautiful audience this is. Hey, I see you there. I've got my eye on a few of you out there tonight. Let me tell you, wow, I see a lot of cute chicks and fans.
What did she say, Alice?
The pub is next door, guys. You know, I often wander into the pub instead of the theatre. It is an easy mistake to make, to be fair. In fact, I was almost late coming here because I'd started doing my set in the pub before realising I was in the wrong place. What with the large crowds, the cheering and the drinking, could have fooled me. Good though that they both reopened at the same time though, eh?
She's so good, isn't she? I love you, Amber!
Well, I love you too, whoever you are. I'm sorry, I can't quite see you, there's quite a lot of people. Anyway, it's so lovely to be making my debut here on the Apollo stage. To think I started off doing my sets in my small kitchen. It's just crazy how quickly times can change. Just like that time when we had that lockdown, plunging all theatres into crippling debt, meaning the only way they can make money now is by letting just anyone perform in the best venues. Do you guys know Oliver Dowden? Well, for those of you who don't, he's the supposed culture secretary who came up with the absolutely radical roadmap plan for theatres that said to gradually go from more social distancing to less. Wow, where do you think he got that idea from? I'm certain that there was a crack team of scientists that came up with some groundbreaking ideas like,
Mr. Dowden, we've done it, we've cracked it, we've come up with a solution to the arts crisis using the medical facts to ensure the safety for all of those involved, and we just think.
And then he just turned to the nearest toddler instead and said, "What do you think?" And they went,
Well, actually, Oliver, I find it offensive that you put down my intelligence based on my lesser age, and we must look to medical and scientific advice in order to come up with a proper timescale for theatres to reopen.
and so he ended up just going with his own idea instead. Financial help did finally come about though, and it's great to see it all going towards Shakespeare's Globe, the only theatre that the government actually thinks exists. But do you know what? I should actually thank Mr. Dowden, as if he had stepped in time, I wouldn't be able to perform here. Now, I can't do a set within these times without mentioning the C word. This virus has been floating up and down the country, causing havoc and upset. Yeah, you guessed it, it's Dominic Cummings. To think that his famous speech caused everyday people to break the rules, guidelines, every day after he addressed the nation. And you know, let's wind it back to that time. Remember what he was saying. He was half an hour late addressing the nation, and I like to think that he was taking that time to calm his nerves, to try and be natural. Well, great job, buddy. You succeeded. When Dom finally emerged to talk to the nation about how he broke his own rules to stay at home and traversing the country up to Durham, it was great to see how his half-an-hour meditation session had gone. Now, you know when you see someone you like and you just forget how to walk, and you think that you're walking past them, hair blowing in the breeze, and you think that you look so cool as you saunter past them, when in reality, it's like you're from the fucking Wizard of Oz and you need some lubrication. And your hands, you just forget what to do with them. And it's suddenly like they have a mind of their own. And you don't
quite know where to put them. And you think of all the things that you do with your hands every day. Ugh. And you touch bits of clothes that you never thought that you would before. And then you...
It's okay, guys, it just sometimes happens. It's fine. But a prop really assists in that situation, as you can finally do something with your hands. Now, Lucky Dom had a jug of water and a script. So he starts with the jug of water, and it's all going so well until, oh, the glass was already full. It's okay, I don't think anyone noticed. So he moves on to the script and he shuffles it about a bit to make it look like he knows what he's doing. A bit like when you're in a board meeting. Except it actually made it look like he'd forgotten his name. Like, hello everyone, my name is Dominic Cummings, and I'm here to tell you all the lies. I mean, not the lies. Now, obviously, all of those things are things that you do when you're nervous. And I was looking out for the telltale signs of lying. Now, to stop someone guessing that you're lying, you need to have a really calm, relaxed face. And a lot of people will have their little eye twitch going, or a little nervous nose twitch, or a little bit of both. Now, with Dom, he didn't have any of that, thankfully. He just stuck his tongue out, like a little frog. And, okay, fair enough, perhaps his lips were dry. I mean, he was talking for an hour and a half, so I suppose I can let him off for that one. Something else I noticed is that when Dom was sat in front of the reporters, he would put his legs around the chair, like this. And do you know what it reminded me of? You know, when you punched little Jimmy in the face at school, and you got called to the head teacher's office, and you just sort of sank into the chair in front of them. Well, I don't know, maybe Dom finds this position really comfortable and we're all just missing out. But then the interrogation began. And that's when Dom started his rendition of Chopin's Nocturnes on the table. But, I mean, who am I to judge? At least the man was practicing. Now, all of these things I found vaguely plausible, but there was one main giveaway of Dom's guilt, and it was when he would do this. He would assume this little dog look. You know how they look to the side, but they peek at you? And it reminded me of my own dog, when he's done a shit in the house, and he wants to look at me, but he can't quite look me in the eye. So I can safely confirm from this that either Dominic Cummings has done a shit on Boris Johnson's carpet, or he was definitely lying about breaking the rules. The government obviously backed Cummings' claims, like they seem to believe that the coronavirus makes you become a genius. Paraphrasing Cummings' words, I make mistakes every day, except for the 14 days where I had the coronavirus and made absolutely zero mistakes at all. Wow, get me on this hype. I too would like to be perfect in every decision I make. I'd also like to be able to see my family, but I'll continue to call them like a peasant. We're going to take a short break now. I'll see you guys in a bit. The atmosphere's a bit dead out there tonight, isn't it? Ladies and gentlemen, we'll now be taking a break and recommence after this short video. La la la. It's taken a long time to get to this point. Like, I won't lie when I say it's been tough. Nothing prepares you for creating a show in a pandemic, you know. And in rehearsals, I started off doing a bit of mask work. That was pretty hard because I'd had to create the mask myself. So I just printed them out. They were just on a bit of paper. And where I'd sort of put them together, DIY'd them, the eye holes were really tiny, so I couldn't actually see out of them. Obviously that makes it an accident waiting to happen. And I know that it definitely put my audience on edge. Like, they felt pretty tense, that I could see that they were waiting for me to do something, and surprise, surprise, something did happen. Now, I was given an improv scenario of this nightclub. I was having a great time, dancing away, and then they told me that somebody was chasing me, so I had to make a quick exit. But as I exited the club, I careered backwards into the table and knocked my flatmate's glass off of it, and yeah, it smashed everywhere. Thankfully, he didn't care about the glass that much, and I'm certain that there was a bit of amusement provided for my audience, as I was actually wearing a shocked mask at the time, so I'm certain that they were pretty amused by that, but hopefully concerned as well, because I had actually injured myself quite badly. Yeah, the cut was worse than I first thought. There was blood everywhere. I stupidly then tried to carry on, barefoot actually, and there was still glass on the floor. We had tried to sweep most of it up, but you know, what can I say? I'm just a daredevil. My flatmates then gave me the next improvisation of a creche scenario. So I was working with these imaginary children. I put this imaginary child down on the ground, and then because I couldn't see, I accidentally stepped on it. Although in reality, I wasn't stepping on a child. I was stepping on glass. And that was it. End of performance. I'd learnt a big lesson. This wasn't going to work how I thought. I was also doing a bit of clowning. God, that was fucking scary. I mean, I've done a fair bit of comedy in my life, but never clowning. It's hard. It's a challenge, definitely. It's also really difficult when you're self-teaching and having to rehearse in like a tiny, tiny kitchen. It was a tough fucking crowd too. Like, my two male flatmates couldn't have been more unimpressed when I started smiling manically at the both of them. Also, one of them was clearly more interested in his phone than me. So I wasn't doing a good job, was I? Clearly wasn't funny enough. Girls on Tinder apparently are more exciting than me and a red nose. Fair enough. Yeah, I've had my ups and downs. Yeah, it wasn't always fun. I had a really tough time, actually, coping with the working conditions I was in. On the worst days, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, God. Okay. On the worst days, our flat would be 30 plus degrees when it was only about 25 or so outside. The worst part was just being trapped in there because of the quarantine and not having anywhere else to go and work. On one of the hottest days we experienced in the flat, I started bleeding again. Yeah, I know I know I have a habit of doing that, but this time it was from my nose. The sun was shining, but I couldn't have felt greyer. That was when I received the email. I'd been given an extension to help out with the rough conditions I was facing. Yeah, it was a godsend, to be honest, as certain days were just wiped out because of the heat. So yeah, now I'm here at the Apollo. I finally made it, and I couldn't be happier. Please take your seats. We are about to resume. Hi. Hi again, hi. Put your phones away now. Stop having your conversations. We're back in the room. All right? Speaking of phones, I do actually ring a lot of people now. Well, I say a lot. I'm not really calling anyone more than I used to, mainly because I fucking hate everyone. But I have been calling my grandma a fair bit, just to make sure she's okay, and she also checks in on me. She thinks it's really great that I'm isolating in a place like Birmingham. As she says, I hear so many things about Birmingham. Birmingham's constantly in the news. Yes, probably because of the constant stabbings. My grandma, bless her, is hard of hearing, so when I call her, it basically sounds like I'm always shouting at her down the phone. Hello, Grandma. It's Amber. How are you?
Hello?
How are you?
What?
I said, how are you? Can you hear me?
No.
But you just heard that.
Hello? 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 Hello?
Did you hear what I just said?
Hang on, Amber. Hang on. Let me just get my hearing aids. Ooh, ooh, ooh. That's better.
Can you hear me now?
No.
Thankfully though, my grandma is a great lip reader, which means that seeing people in real life is not a problem at all. Oh yeah, except there's that teensy tiny issue right now of having to social distance and wear a mask. Sorry, Grandma. Now this is how a conversation goes for her.
I have to agitate the shelf with my knees like Julius Caesar.
No,
I have to bait oneself with the weeds to appease her. Appease who?
No!
Oh, I have to isolate myself with the peas in the freezer. I'm not dead yet, thank you very much. Ah, I have to isolate myself if I have the disease and a fever. Well, why didn't you say that before?
Honestly though, being hard of hearing is no joke. One time when I was at home, me and my mum, who is also partially deaf, were both on the toilet. Not on the same toilet, you weirdos. So, she was in the main bathroom and I was in the ensuite. Basically, they're just separated by a wall. And we both happened to be pooping and had run out of toilet roll at the same time. So, she begins shouting for me to get her some toilet roll. And I begin shouting back saying, I have the same issues. Except she couldn't hear me. So she begins to shout louder. At this point, she was pretty angry. No, wait, she was fuming. And then she started banging on the walls. And finally, she was stomping, surprisingly loudly for someone sat on a bloody toilet. This poop stalemate went on for about half an hour before I decided to be the good person and start thumping on the wall too. Finally, I decided to make the ultimate sacrifice. I peeped out of my door to make sure the coast was clear and covered my butt with my clothes as much as I could. For I would be the one to run naked through the house, doing the weird little half shuffle, half sprint, half dance thing with your trousers still down to gain the loo roll prize. It was all going so well until I tripped up the stairs, dropping the loo roll all the way back down the stairs. But I would not give up. I finally made it back, did what I had to do before going to the bathroom where my mum was, only to open the door to find she'd gone. Yep, she had toilet wipes all along and had gone back to the lounge, thinking that all this time I was just being difficult. How could you be such a horrible, horrible child, ignoring your poor mother? And she heard me on the stairs, proving you couldn't have been on the loo, Amber. So she heard all that, but not the fact that I was in the bathroom right next to her. Honestly, I don't understand how my dad is coping being alone with her right now. Like, it's frustrating enough her not being able to understand us anyway, let alone with a mask. Although, I must admit, something great that has come from mask wearing is the fact that I no longer freak people out when I go to rob my local bank. Honestly, it was starting to get very, very repetitive. Although the coronavirus has mainly had a negative impact on my life. Honestly, life has become so boring that I stopped doing my 1 second a day video project as there was nothing to do. I mean, if you took out all the drinking and the wanking, it would just be a still image. Expectations have become so much lower now. Like, even my dreams have become boring. I used to dream about really, really exciting things, like going to McDonald's with a group of 10 people. And now all I dream about is buying sealant for home DIY projects. I'm actually isolating in my student flat right now. And the thing about student accommodation is that they're freezers in the winter and they become ovens in summer. Yeah, someone gets it. And so it's safe to say that my life has been pretty hard. Life has been pretty agonising. And what do we do in situations like that? We go to the internet to seek help. And I came across some advice from a fab woman called Caroline. Now, Caroline is this rich blogger and she's married to a banker named Clive apparently, so I knew that I could trust her. Now, Caroline's first words of wisdom were, if you are hot, just open your windows. Just open them and let the air flow through your house. Slight issue, Caroline. In a student flat, the window's barely open 2 inches. Now, maybe that's enough for you, but for me it's slightly lacking. Don't worry, don't worry. I have some even better advice. Stop using your oven, which produces excess heat, and just go out to a restaurant. It's in times like these that we must have some self-care and treat ourselves. Caroline, I'm poor. Also, in case you hadn't noticed, we're in the middle of a worldwide pandemic. Also, I see your timestamp, Caroline. You wrote this in April. That was when we were in full-on lockdown. It's okay. Here is my best advice yet that's guaranteed to work for everyone. All you need to do is just gently stroke your arms to produce goose pimples or goosebumps, and you will feel instantly cold. This always works for me, and it takes me right back to my childhood. I personally like to do this in combination with having my AC turned up high in a big airy space, and also going out for a little walk in my garden just to get some fresh air also. Thank you, Caroline. Yes, let me just go out the door and... Oh, yes, there's a 10-storey drop. I thought there was a garden there. Wow. Caroline, I've got to say, without your advice, I'm sure I would have died. Aside from flat problems, being a student during these times is really hard, but being a drama student is even worse. Now, we do some weird things at drama school, but usually it's in the comfort of our own classrooms where nobody can see us except our classmates. And now we're having to do those exercises at home. Just the other week, I was doing some animal exercises in the kitchen, and my flatmate walks in on me pretending to be a pig. And I haven't seen him come out of his room since. But let's be positive. At least I know I can convincingly play a pig, so the roles will come flooding in when this is all over, I'm sure. This has been an awesome night. Thinking back, when I first started pitching my ideas for this set, I ran into a lot of obstacles. I went to the producer of this show with some amazing ideas. I said, I should do something different. Do it all self-taped. Completely minimalistic. Performing in my kitchen instead of a studio where my flatmates will walk in on me all the time. And get this, having no audience. Just sound effects. Completely revolutionary. And they said, Amber, that is the stupidest idea I've ever heard in my life. So I thought, well, I suppose the Apollo will do. Thank you all so much for watching. You've been a wonderful audience. Good night!